Welcome to another episode of Lawyer Interviews. I am your host, Jeff Dillon. With us today, we have Gordana Mikalacki. Gordana, thank you so much. Do you go by Gordy as well? Is that
Yep, I go by Gordy for short. Yep.
Gordy for short? Hence her handle, Lawyer Gordy, which you can follow. So, Gordana, thanks so much for joining us. And please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you so much for having me. So my name is Gordy, and I've been practicing for about 14 years now. My specialty area is personal injury law, and I have founded and own my own personal injury firm in Phoenix, Arizona. It's called Elmm Law Group. And prior to being a personal injury attorney for probably the last 8 years or so, I was an assistant attorney general in Arizona prosecuting cases for the state. So that's my background and that's what I do now. So thank you so much for having me.
Wow, it's very exciting to have an ex-government official. That's pretty serious stuff. We are recording this, so I don't know. Maybe if is the government recording this too? Do you guys ever do that in your practice?
We never did. My department that I worked for, my agency was the largest agency in Arizona, the Department of Child Support Services, the Department of Economic Security, Department of Child Support Services was underneath that, a subsection of it. And we chased people for non-payment of child support. So we had a lot of people and we weren't recording things. We were just tracking who was paying, who wasn't paying. So too many people to keep a handle on to be recording things.
Got it. Okay, so I'm less paranoid now.
Yeah.
But wow, that let's start there though. That sounds like a very interesting, I don't know, part of the law or part of life, really. I mean, how did you find yourself starting to get into that division?
So prior to being an assistant attorney general, I worked at the Court of Appeals for 2 years. And at the Court of Appeals, you just get a myriad of types of cases. You don't get to pick. And the cases that were the most interesting to me were the children and family cases. And so I found myself gravitating more towards those cases and wanting to be more in that area of law because I felt like I could help people
Mm-hmm.
and actually improve, maybe their quality of life, etc. I could see the attorneys actually helping people and they were making a difference. And so
Okay.
I applied for the attorney general position specifically within that section, knowing that was what I wanted to go into. And so the rest was history.
I see. Yeah, and that must have been. I'm going to assume it was a competitive process and not an easy job to get.
For sure, for sure. It was on the turn of the economic downfall, where the economy was tanking and all lawyers were just like clinging to whatever jobs they
Oh
had or
no.
could get. And so there were a
Mm-hmm.
ton of applicants for sure, but luckily I was selected and I'd stayed there and was able to serve under 3 different attorneys generals, and it was a great experience.
Wow.
So
Now, sounds like a time where a lot of people are not paying their child support as well, probably economic related and or otherwise. I just assume every person who doesn't is a dirtbag. Is that that's just like my image of it. Has your like what's it like, dealing with people like that are like inherently kind of sound like a villain from a TV show or something. Like did that impact? Did that opinion change? Did that perception change for you when you
yeah,
your
so
job?
a lot are dirt bags. A lot just don't want to pay. They just don't want
Yeah.
to be responsible or accountable for their kids' financial, upbringing. However, you also have to be empathetic to the other side. And during that time frame with the economic downfall, a lot of people were in the construction industry specifically, and a lot of people were losing their
Mm,
jobs. So then the focus became not just on why they weren't paying and throwing them in jail for non-payment. It was actually getting a second, taking a look at the actual child support order to see were they even ordered something fair to pay to begin with. So a
mm,
lot of them had been making a higher income, were doing great before the economy took a tank. And that was maybe something they could have before afforded. And then when the economy tanked, then all of a sudden they couldn't. So then we really kind of took a stance on modifying the child support orders to
mm.
make it reflective of what they actually could pay, because there's no point in just having these ridiculously high orders that maybe someone can't pay and they're just incurring this debt. We wanted them to be compliant. We wanted them to contribute. And it's like, if it's such a huge mountain for them to climb, they're not going to even chip away at it. So it was nice to
Huh.
be able to get it to a place that they could afford. And then they actually started paying and being responsible, which was awesome to see. So
That is interesting. So they're, I'm guessing when they're probably in family court before and they agree on some type of payment plan, and then your role coming in is when someone's not paying,
mhm.
and then you have the power to modify what the family court did to make it
Yeah,
more reasonable. Is
that's
that how it
right.
works?
I would take a look at it. I would see, how non-compliant was this person, take
Mm-hmm.
their testimony. It's like a mini, trial hearing. We would
Yeah.
100 or so cases in an afternoon, and then I would flag the cases. So if I thought it was a case that was appropriate for modification, I would send it to my line attorney, another assistant attorney general, and they would modify it and then get the person back on track. So it was just really screening the cases and seeing which ones kind of fit that mold and
Yeah.
needed a change. So yeah,
Hmm.
we're not bad guys. We're there to help, contrary to what people
Yeah, yeah. And it's
say.
not like you're just like on behalf of you're not like the attorney for the I almost, I almost, the spouse that's not being paid. It's
Yeah,
like
we
you're
don't. We don't represent either party. We didn't
mm-hmm,
represent either party. We actually represented the state, and so there wasn't an interest to represent mom or dad or whatever.
mm-hmm.
It was, we're representing the state. We want to make sure the kids being taken care of. So
Yeah. No, it's interesting stuff. And I know that's yeah, not your current role, so we don't have to stay there for too long, but it is an interesting background. Um,
thank you.
how what was it like changing from the public sector to the private sector?
I was super hesitant to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But having worked as an assistant attorney general for a series of years and being a line attorney, you kind of learn what you learn. And after that, the only, I guess, move is to be some sort of a managerial attorney and a
Uh-huh.
section chief or unit chief. And that was something that I wasn't really interested in because I really liked the work. So I had an opportunity to go into the private sector and to go into personal injury and found another firm. And so I did. And I was a little bit afraid that I wasn't going to be having that, like those warm and fuzzy feelings on helping people, because you really do get that when you're working for the state and helping kids and families. But on the personal injury side, helping accident victims, I found that I still saw it to be super rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to help them go against these billion-dollar insurance companies when they're being taken advantage of. I'm like, oh, this actually does still give me that feeling that I'm helping someone. And so it was a great transition. I didn't know it at the time, but it's turned out to be a great transition in hindsight now. So
Got it. So the insurance company replaced the scumbag ex-spouse not paying. Now you have another scumbag company not paying.
that's right. I guess I like to help the underdog is kind of
I
my
got that.
whole thing. So yeah.
And so when you transitioned, did you work for another firm at first before your own?
No, so I had an opportunity to co-found, co-partner a firm. There's a large former Yugoslavian speaking community here. I speak Serbo-Croatian, which is their native language, and a lot of people want an attorney that speaks their language and they can communicate with. So all these cases were coming in, and there really weren't that many attorneys who spoke that language. So I had the opportunity to join and partner that firm, where a large client base was from the former Yugoslavia, and communicate with them in their native language, learn personal injury from the ground up. I mean, we're talking intake level to litigation and
Wow.
everything in between. So
Okay. That, I mean, that's a big fact you just kind of threw in there. So are you Croatian yourself or Serbian? I'm sorry, which was it?
Yep. My family's from Serbia, so
Okay.
we speak Serbo-Croatian, and yeah, there's like 20,000 Serbian people here. There's Bosnians, there's
Mm-hmm.
Croatians, there's people from all walks of the former Yugoslavia here in Arizona. Everyone wants to be in the Valley of the Sun where the weather's fantastic and there's no snow.
Is that
So
why they're there? Like it sounds so random.
yeah, I think that is. I mean, I think they get to choose where they come, or they might have family that's
Mm-hmm.
chosen. I know my family came post World War II. Initially, we migrated to the Midwest where it was snowy, and we're like, forget that. We're
Yeah.
going to Arizona in the 70s. So they were probably smarter than we were. They just skipped the Midwest altogether and came here. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's great. Well, so you speak this language, and I'm sorry, you said you were born there or you were born in the United States?
I was born in the States, so I'm a native
Okay.
Arizona. Yep,
So how
yep.
did you learn the language then?
Through my family. So
Hmm.
just speaking it at home with grandparents, parents, and then it's like when you pick up one language, your brain's kind of more
Yeah.
acclimated to absorb another one. So my dad's like, and you should learn Spanish too because we live in Arizona. So then
Yeah.
I
So
learned Spanish, and we have a lot of clients that are also Spanish speakers. So
that's great. Okay. So you were learning this from a very young age?
yes, yes,
Hmm. Yeah, it's always a shame when people because there's that like closing window of time where you can become bilingual or trilingual as like, truly as a young person. And
right.
so many times you hear about families with multilingual parents who don't want to teach their kid the language because they want them just to be, Americanized or not, worry about it. So that really worked in your favor there.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
It is great to be able to speak to people and type and write letters and communicate with them in another language. It's like it's great because I send clients texts, I write them letters and Serbo-Croatian or Spanish or whatever, and it's helpful to them because the process of personal injury being in an accident, super intimidating,
Hmm.
scary, anything legal is scary. And so
Got
then if
it.
you kind of cut that fear and actually communicate with them in their native language, I feel like it gives them a comfort level that they need.
Yeah.
So
No, that's great. I also speak Spanish just from growing up. I have family in Spain, but so I'll send texts as well, and I have like the Spanish to English text thing, and like will autocorrect sometimes English to Spanish or whatever. But I'm just wondering how you're texting Serbo-Croatian, does it like auto fill in? Like is there a setting for that, or do you ever like
I just use the keyboard settings. So I
yeah,
have it written, well, I have, English obviously, and I have Spanish keyboard, and then I have the Serbo-Croatian keyboard. And
got
so
it.
it's kind of like it will, put the accents where it needs to be, etc. But I'll have like texts come in through our online case management system, and my paralegals will be like, okay, this is one of yours, because I speak Spanish or English only. And they're
Yeah,
like, the Serbo-Croatian that you can respond to that one.
got it. Yeah. So
So
so interesting. So when you started this, you co-founded it. So your partner, were they also Serbo-Croatian?
one was, yes. And so that was super appealing to the clientele was like, hey, not only am I going to go to a doctor for my
Hmm.
injuries that speaks my language, but now I also have an attorney that I can communicate with that speaks my language. So yeah, so
Oh.
it was nice to have people, both of us who were able to communicate with them.
Okay, so your partner's a doctor.
No, 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 no. They were also another attorney, but we found that the clientele that we serviced wanted to have that Serbo-Croatian speaking doctor and the
I
Serbo-Croatian
see, I see.
accountant and insurance agent and all of that. And so
Hmm.
it's like they sought out, professionals to handle their daily business or life business based on they can communicate with me in my native language. So
Okay.
we were
Yeah,
just extension of that
got it, got it.
need.
Yeah, I was
So
starting to sound, I was like, wow, so a personal injury firm with a doctor right on hand. That's just like you
wow,
come in, oh, you gotta go next door. We have a case here or something. I don't know. That's
no, that would
I
be like highly unethical.
yeah, I don't know which
Yeah.
rule ethically it breaks, but it feels like it's wrong. So,
Probably a lot. Yeah.
yeah,
No, no. No,
that
they
did
just
not seem right.
they just wanted that. So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, no, that's great. It
yeah.
makes sense. You stay in that community and you trust people and you're something I did not know and probably people didn't know about Arizona in general. So that's really cool. And what I'm like so fascinated by is we've talked to other people here who've like started their own firms and you know I work at a firm. I've been at it for 5 years now and I couldn't imagine just starting up. I feel like I don't know enough yet and maybe I do, maybe I don't. But a lot of times, you were practicing obviously for a while, but was that what kind of like what gave you the confidence to start up a new practice and be like, I'm the head of this, I know everything? If that's how you viewed it, I don't know, but like, did you have any kind of imposter syndrome or anything like that going into that?
I I think because I was so thrown in there right after being an assistant attorney general, I think my last day was like the last day of March, and my first day in the new personal injury firm was April 1st. I had my first client. So really just, hungry, wanting to learn every little detail on how this all worked. I think that the people that I had worked with wanted to just be like, here, just take it. Like, we're kind of
Mm-hmm.
tired already of all of this, and you seem super excited and you want to learn. So just take it all. And so I handled the files from beginning, middle, and end, and litigated and did all the things. And so I think that hunger and that passion to like really learn, I
Yeah.
did that probably for about 5 years in that firm. And once I had gotten to that 5 year mark, I was like, I really know everything I think I need to know. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel super confident. I'd been handling most of the cases, beginning, middle, and end, on my own. And so I was like, you know what? I could really branch out on my own and start my own firm. And there are not a lot of female personal injury attorneys in the Valley or in Phoenix, actually. It's
Okay.
very much still a man's world. And I'm like, this is a great niche. I really feel confident that I can do this. I've got the knowledge base. I've done it. And so why not? Why not start my own firm and brand it and do it exactly how I want it to be, and service clients and give them an option as a
Mm-hmm.
consumer if they want to work with a female versus a male, because I felt that I had more empathy, towards the client's injuries and how they were really feeling. And it wasn't just like they were a number, a
Yeah.
file number, and asking how they're doing and whatnot. And they were super receptive to that. So I thought, I thought, why not? Why not do this? So yeah.
That's awesome. So this was you've started yet another firm that you
Yeah.
currently work
So
for.
I started, oh, there you go. I started Elmm Law Group.
Ah, perfect.
I started Elmm Law Group in 2019, right before kind of COVID hit. And I mean, it's been great, I guess, minus COVID, but
Yeah.
it was interesting how the firm morphed from being super centered on like car accidents. COVID hit, no one was going anywhere. And then it kind of transitioned to something else with like dog bites and slip and falls and whatnot. So even though COVID came, it still was thriving, it still was growing. And so now I've just entered into my third year,
Uh-huh.
and things are going well. So yeah.
All right. Well, congrats on all that success. I see still in your background a picture of someone with a American flag there. Are you campaigning here? Is there any possibility of you getting back into public service one day? And I don't know, there's something very politically, you look like a candidate right now with the
I don't know if that's
background.
a compliment or not. But
That's yeah.
that's an old photo. I think I was like 21 in that photo. I worked for the governor of Arizona, and she was like a trailblazer. She was a female. She was a lawyer, super smart, argued in front of the Supreme Court.
Oh,
So I had the
cool.
opportunity to work for her and really like decide that I truly wanted to go to law school, being surrounded by her and her staff. And so yeah, that's a photo from back when
Oh,
I was a
wow. Nice.
baby,
Good.
chubby baby.
We can't from back here. I can't even. We have no idea. Um, but so that's your inspiration for going to law school, you would
Yeah,
say.
I always wanted to go to law school, but it's like when you're young, you don't really know what that means. And so
Yes.
everyone on her staff they were policy advisors and attorneys and all of this. And I worked for the general counsel, deputy general counsel, and they all had law degrees. And so it really showed me that you can do a lot with a law degree. And it really solidified my desire to go to law school, because it's not something to be taken lightly. And I thought, I really like how they think and they analyze and they approach issues.
Hmm.
Super smart. And yeah, I definitely want to do this. So
Yeah. You really. Yeah. uh, well, that's really great. Where did you go to law school?
Arizona State University, which is the Sandra Day O'Connor College of Law.
Okay, I was thinking if it had a funny acronym, like the SSO, uh, but it doesn't. If you heard, I know they made like an Antonin Scalia School of Law, and it was like ASOL, and it was like such an unfortunate like acronym, but this one checked out just from thinking about it.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes it could turn into something that's like
Yeah.
I don't want to call it by the acronym.
No, 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 no. But the did you go there for college as well? Arizona State?
Yeah, so full on Sun Devil, did my
Mm-hmm.
undergrad in poli sci and minor in Spanish, and then took a year off to work for the governor for her general counsel and deputy general counsel, and then went to law school. So yeah,
Got it. Yeah, that's
you.
you definitely owned the campus at that point.
Like we can't get rid of her. She's a native through and through.
Yeah, did it feel like did you have like this like distinct I don't know how long ago it was for you. You don't need to tell, but it was did it feel like, now I'm sick of this, the undergrad, are they like ruining your library experience or you know how it is with that?
Yeah, we were lucky. I mean, now the campus has moved. So I started law school in 2005, graduated 2008. It's been some years, but they've moved the law school from the main campus where we actually had like our own quarters, our own library, super nice. And they moved it downtown so people can be closer to like internships and
Yeah,
extra.
makes sense.
So that's kind of cool that they've changed it. But
Mm-hmm.
back then, we didn't really have to mix too much with any of the other schools or colleges because we had our own library, which was nice.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. In my college, when I was an undergrad at University of Florida, I didn't go to law school there, but some of us would find, oh, you can go study in the law library. And we did that and then found out there was like online outrage that these dumb undergrads were coming in and ruining our, serious library anyway. So
Yeah.
uh I don't know what made me think of that. I want to transition though, speaking of college, or I guess, but you have a very impressive social media presence. I think it's a lot of fun. I like the videos that you make. They're instructional and very high quality. Impressive stuff.
You.
So how did you get started with that? And do you have any help with your videos slash can you help me with mine?
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your kind words. So the way it got started was I think I shot my first video on my iPhone. I had my sister shoot it. It was like in the snow and I posted
Okay.
about it and like that was my first video. It was March of 2021. So it was like, TikTok took a huge groundbreaking with like
Mm-hmm.
COVID-19 and people are doing the dances and whatever. And so TikTok is big and videos are big. And so Instagram's now transitioning more to reels at that time frame. So it's like, hey, why don't you just like, shoot this video of me? We're in the snow and it's kind of cool and whatnot. So she shot that. Then I did some more videos on my own throughout the rest of the year. And then I went to a summit at the end of 2021 last year. It was the CEO lawyer summit. And he's like, you guys got to get on this video train. If you're not doing reels and you're not shooting these videos and putting it out content wise, what are you doing? It's free advertising.
Yeah.
So I did that and I really decided 2022 was going to be the year for that. So I hired someone to come shoot my videos once a month rather. We do
Mm-hmm.
like 10 videos a month and I write the content for them and he shoots them and he edits them. And so it's been really great. We've been consistently doing it. We just did our batch yesterday, Sunday. And so yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's fun to come up with ideas. A lot of the content comes from like things that are going on with my clients, questions they ask me, issues that come up in cases that we're like, oh, we see a repeat pattern happening here. We need to talk
Mm-hmm.
about this. And so yeah, people tend to like it and feel like they're getting information, and it's been good. So
Right. So you come up with all the ideas yourself.
yeah, I come up with all the ideas myself. I don't have a content writer. Maybe that might change in the future. But right now it's coming up with ideas from like DMs that I'll get or
Yeah.
clients, questions that we get or case issues that pop up that we're noticing like trends with insurance companies.
Hmm.
If they're doing certain things like with property damage or bodily injury claims that they weren't before, we want to inform clients of that. So that's kind of where the ideas come from.
I see. And they're geared to be instructional
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
tips and instructions.
Mm-hmm.
So
Has any success stories? So as someone said, great video, I've had this exact thing. Where can we meet up and help me?
yeah, it's crazy. Like we'll get actually a lot of people that'll be like, "Hi, I got into an accident or I was in a motorcycle accident." And I always will always ask intake wise, where'd you hear from us? So we can know if we need to thank someone for the referral or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, "Oh, I watched your videos on Instagram or I saw you on TikTok." And I'm like, "You did?
Yeah.
Are you serious?"
I mean, Good, great for you. Great for everyone who's doing this. It sounds, I mean, I don't want to like insult the process, but it's like just so interesting. Like, oh, yeah, I found my lawyer on Instagram. Like, I mean, I'm sure they check your great references, your Yelp review, anything that you do,
Yep.
but it's like, yeah, this doctor, I found him on, on Twitter. Like, great. Like, it just seems like so it's
It's
amazing.
very different. So, we don't have the yellow pages anymore. Some of the
Right.
attorneys that I've
Mm-hmm.
previously worked with, selected their firm name to start with an A, so they could be at the top of the
Oh, wow. Yeah.
yellow pages, the front.
Oh, so people were gaming these systems all and going with this all along.
I
Okay.
mean, I definitely noticed that it's a certain demographic that will hire through social media or vet you through social media. It's like they watch your videos, they get a feel of your personality through the videos and are like, yes, I want to work with this person. Or somebody that I spoke to last week that was in a motorcycle accident was like, I've watched your videos. You seem like you know what you're talking about, is what he said. And so I
Yeah,
want to hire you. So I guess another level on interviewing me without me even knowing that they're interviewing me ahead of time. And so they use it as
that's right.
well, Google reviews and websites
Yeah.
and all of that. So it's just interesting how it's transformed into another resource for people.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely working and it's definitely a thing. I just see so, it's a trend in a way, like lawyers are doing this and it's working. Did you ever have to like get consent? Oh, this is a great idea. And mind if I make a video out of this from a client, or you keep it vague enough?
I usually can keep the videos we professionally shoot vague enough. Sometimes I have shown like some property damage photos from a client,
Mm-hmm.
if like their hood was ripped off or something and I want to talk about it. And I'll ask the client, like, can I show this? And they're like, yeah, sure, no problem. And of course, abiding by our ethical rules. I don't say what the client's name is, but I would have to ask for permission. I have. But the ones we professionally shoot are generally vague enough that
Mm-hmm.
nobody would know who it is. So yeah.
For the best, of course. Uh, so what's next? What are you hoping for the future to be happening? Will your firm be growing? Will you be running for office? TikTok star? I mean, there's so many different directions that can
I
happen.
probably will not run for office. I think that was an
Probably. Oh,
aspect.
I know you're playing games here. We know what that means. Wink,
I
wink.
will not run for office. I thought that was an aspiration I had when I was younger. It seems like politics are so different now. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I find this to be so rewarding. I
Yeah.
love my firm. I love growing it. Definitely delving more into our Spanish speaking population.
Mm-hmm.
Really truly being a force in the Phoenix market. And we just continue to keep growing year after year and month after month. And I think, we did so great one month and we got so many intakes and settled so many cases, and the next month was even better. So I just I hope to continue that path and just to keep growing and thriving. And I'm just excited for the future, helping more clients,
That's
truly.
great. Also, you were notably silent on being a TikTok star, so I'm assuming that's still in the cards, just by implication.
Yeah.
Uh, well, that's but yes, so that was really great meeting you and speaking with you. Got a
Yeah.
very interesting story and background, so thank you so much. One more time, we can find you at Lawyer Gordy on
Yep.
Instagram, and the name of your firm. Let's pull up the mug if we can.
The branding, Elmm Law
Perfect.
Group. So I named it after my kiddos, and my daughter's name is Ava, my son's name is Luca, and my nephew's name is Maxim, and my maiden name is Mikalacki. So
Okay, all
I
covered.
was born.
All right, yeah, Elm. I mean, it's nice. It sounds good. Are you teaching your kids Serbio-Croatian, Spanish, Yugoslavian?
Yeah, they're taking Spanish in school. They started super young, and so that's good. And then we just speak Serbo-Croatian at home and they understand it. And maybe they're a
Great.
little more not speaking it so much in front of their friends because they're like, yeah, it's kind of weird. But hopefully they stick with it, throughout
Yeah,
time. So
They'll say it's embarrassing now, and then in the future they'll be thanking you. Or if you didn't, they'd be mad at you. Why didn't you teach me this? So that's I
true.
think you
There's a lot of pressure.
yes, yep, you'll
Mom.
show them this in the future. All right. Well, great. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It was fun talking to you.
Yes, you as well.